For my top 15 PlayStation game list, I'm not going to include more than 2 games from one series because I don't want to have a quarter of my list be Final Fantasy games. At number 15, I have Mortal Kombat Trilogy. Is basically Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, but it lets you use all the bosses for older versions of characters, and it has stages from Mortal Kombat 1 and 2, as well as the stages from Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. People say the Saturn version plays a little bit better, but it's missing some of the stages from Mortal Kombat 1, and the Nintendo 64 version doesn't have the boss characters. I wasn't a big fan of vanilla Mortal Kombat 3. It felt like it was just missing a lot, but Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 brought back Scorpion, Katana, and other characters, and it's made the combo system deeper because you can do a combo straight after a jumping punch. Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 also brought endurances back, and like I said, the PlayStation version of Mortal Kombat Trilogy has all the good things from Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, and you can use the bosses Shao Kahn, Kintaro, Motaro, and Goro, and using the bosses does make things interesting. When I first played this game, it was one of the most fun fighting games I had ever played. That's why many people are excited about this game being re-released as part of another Mortal Kombat collection. At number 14, I have Breath of Fire 4. I no longer have my PlayStation copy. The Breath of Fire games on the PlayStation 1 are remembered as being 16-bit style JRPGs, but they have 32-bit quality features, especially with the anime scenes. In the Breath of Fire games, there's always a blue-haired boy named Ryu who can transform into a dragon. The story starts off Ryu has amnesia, and the female character Nina pities Ryu and lets him tag along with her because she's searching for her missing sister. But to make the story creative, the story is shown from 2 perspectives, from Ryu and another character whom is the antagonist of the game and wants to bring destruction to the world after awakening from a sleep that lasted hundreds of years. All the character stories will come together nicely, and there's good plot twists. The battle system has a good combo system. Each party member has special abilities which will be needed for exploration, such as Nina can fly, and Cray has good physical strength. It's a charming game, and I enjoyed it. I like how the world has influences of Arabian and Asian. Not much more I can add, I'll let you watch a little bit more. Truthfully, I was caught off guard with how much I like Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I didn't like the Castlevania games on the NES, and I skipped over Super Castlevania. It was actually my brother who rented this game back in the late 90s. When I played it, the first thing that caught my attention was its music. I love it, like gothic rock style music, you call it that. Story presentation is great. Its gameplay felt very satisfying, and I like how it has RPG elements and a lot of exploration, because it's like a Metroid game. People say this game helped create the subgenre Metroidvania. You can level grind if you want, or you can search for items that will give you upgrades. I'm not really into the vampire theme. I'm more of a high fantasy or sci-fi type person, but the way Symphony of the Night does the vampire theme, I think it's awesome. The way Dracula is incorporated into the story, and even the Grim Reaper gives me the chills when I see him in this game.
Alucard, what is your business here?
I know some people will be thinking, what? Ape Escape higher than Symphony of the Night? Symphony of the Better Night is a better game objectively, but Ape Escape is just easier for me to get in the mood to play, because it's charming, it's got some colourful levels and simplistic gameplay. It's a 3D platformer where you go around searching for apes that have escaped. There is a bit of hack and slash and puzzle elements. The platforming has hovering mechanics, and you'll need to do a fair bit of exploration to find where many of the apes are hidden, and finding apes can unlock new areas. Like I said, it's just a fun game and easy to get in the mood to play. I'll show you the rest of this footage. As you can see, part of the game is trying to find where the apes are hidden. There you are, Mr. Ape. Got that. Honestly, the Crash Bandicoot games were kinda like the Sonic game I was hoping for during the 5th gen, but never came to the Saturn, because Crash has a flowing style of platforming and more linear levels, and there's some levels where you're going to run quickly, which are exciting. And Crash 2 is my favourite of the original Crash trilogy. Speaking of fast gameplay, this is what I mean. It requires memorization, but there's a lot of speed and fast reactions. There are a few gameplay sections that are like this. There's also side-scrolling platforming segments, but my favourite parts of the game is when it's flowing, Crash is just running forward and spin dash anything, and like I said, just has a nice flow and it's fun. Before I played Spyro the Dragon during the 5th gen, I thought no other 3D platformer could come close to being as good as Super Mario 64. Yes, I played Banjo-Kazooie and Crash Bandicoot. They were fun, but they didn't have the magical combination of playability and charm that Super Mario 64 has, but Spyro the Dragon comes very close. I like how it has a gliding mechanic. You can breathe fire and the tight controls, and yes, it is a little bit of a collectathon, but it doesn't go overboard. The level designs are so fun. It's colourful, it's charming to look at. It's on the easy side, but it's just so fun and relaxing to play. It's a good game for all ages. I've played the sequels, but I don't like them anywhere near as much as the original. The original just had the perfect formula. At number 9, I have Breath of Fire 3. I no longer have my PlayStation copy. There's debate as to whether Breath of Fire 3 or 4 is better. I prefer 3, maybe because I played it first, and also I like how 3 is more colourful. I find it a bit more charming. 3 is set in a different world to 4, and its world has a more European style aesthetic and is in an industrial age. Once again, you play as a blue-haired boy named Ryu, who starts off as an orphan and is taken in by a couple of thieves who are just trying to survive in the world. It's hard to explain what makes the story great without giving away spoilers, but I'll say it's an emotional story at times. It has darker things such as genocide and world destruction, but the world being destroyed, it's done differently. I'll just say that there is something in the world that's trying to make the world a desert. That's all I'll say. You also see Ryu as a young boy and also growing up. And when you get separated from your friends, it's emotional because they took in Ryu and are like his family. The turn-based battle system is a bit simplistic, but at the very start and then later on in the game, Ryu can transform into a dragon, which makes him powerful. The game is so charming, I can keep coming back to it. Just like Breath of Fire 4, this game goes for a more 16-bit style, but with 32-bit qualities. At number 8, I have Resident Evil 2. Many people still say the original version of Resident Evil 2 is the best survival horror game ever made. It creates a lot of tension because ammo is very scarce and the atmosphere is incredible. You have to use your wits to survive, and if you are forced to use a firearm, you need to make sure you land headshots and make every bullet count. The atmosphere is great in that you're in a city that's been overrun by zombies compared to the original, which you're in a mansion. You'll still spend a fair amount of time in a police station trying to survive being in there, but you'll also spend time in the city as well. Besides trying to survive against zombies, there's a fair amount of puzzles. It's not a long game, but there's 2 different campaigns, one for Leon and one for Claire. In each campaign, you'll see the same story but from a different perspective. There will also be different puzzles and different enemies. This is a game that survivor horror fans like to keep coming back to until this day, because it's about surviving against the zombies rather than going around shooting all the infected people. to cut to the chase, Tekken 3 is my favourite 3D fighting game of the 5th gen. Before Tekken 3 was released, Virtua Fighter 2 was my favourite 3D fighting game, and I thought no 3D fighting game could topple it, but I was blown away by how great Tekken 3 is. It feels so fluid, it's got great presentation, a complex but very accessible combo system. The physics feel right. The blows feel hard and powerful, but there's just a fluidity towards the fighting mechanics. Have a huge roster of very diverse characters and great environments to battle on. The game actually has a good backstory, and I just like the different fighting styles of the character. You got the more traditional fighting styles. You have Muay Thai fighters. There's street brawlers. As you can see, some of the environments have the more, like, I guess you could say, rustic or like aesthetic from like Hong Kong, but you also have like environments which are beautiful natural tropical scenery. Chrono Cross is a stunning game with a world that's inspired by tropical beauty. It's a spiritual successor to the well-known JRPG Chrono Trigger. Instead of travelling through time, in this game you travel to different dimensions and you're trying to uncover the reason why you died 10 years earlier in one of the other dimensions. And of course a lot of plot twists come into the story, and I won't spoil them for you, but I'll say it's a very engaging story that has elements of sci-fi. But the world is stunning to explore. Everywhere you go there's stunning scenery. The battle system is very good. It has a stamina system. It's turn-based, but doing different actions will use different amounts of stamina, so you need to think about what type of commands you give out. The game also has over 40 playable characters. It's a game people want to keep coming back to. Metal Gear Solid is easily one of the best games on the PlayStation and one of the best games of the 5th gen. It's not the first Metal Gear game, but anyways, it showed us an iconic character in Snake, as well as other great characters and some very iconic and interesting villains. The story is very deep. You're basically a genetically engineered soldier that's sent on missions of espionage. The bad guys have all kinds of personal agendas, but the big bad guys, they have access to a giant mech known as a Metal Gear, which can launch nuclear weapons, can fly, it's amphibious. Metal Gear Solid is set in a future in which factions are fighting for control of the world. The story is very deep because there's a lot of genetically engineered soldiers and they all have deep and emotional pasts, and some of them have become villains. As for the gameplay, the best way to play it is using stealth, but you can play it as a top-down shooter if you want. You can use pistols, automatic weapons, grenades, you can plant mines and lure enemies, even bosses, to walk on them. You can use a rocket launcher. When you are trying to play it in stealth, you can take enemies down by sneaking up behind them and breaking their neck, or you can just knock them out with martial arts moves. Either way, when their body's on the ground, you need to move their body, because if another enemy sees their body laying there, they will put the area on high alert, and the other enemies will scour the environment more thoroughly and quickly and look for you. Enemies will notice your footsteps in the snow. You can knock on a wall with your fist to lure enemies to where you are and take them down. There's creative ways in which you can implement stealth. The boss battles can involve sniper duels. You can fight tanks, helicopters, and other, like a cybernetic ninja, and other bad guys that have interesting ways they engage you. I won't say any more, but like I said, it's one of the best games on the PlayStation and helps set up one of the best video game series ever made. Final Fantasy IX is a game that's universally loved. I've never seen anyone say anything bad about Final Fantasy IX, and it's always near the top of favourite Final Fantasy games that people vote for. It's so charming, and people love how it goes back to being medieval fantasy. Even Final Fantasy creator Hironobu Sakaguchi said it's the favourite Final Fantasy game that he's worked on. The characters are charming, the world is lovely, and people like how the story doesn't try to take itself too seriously. The story made me laugh many times, but the story can be serious when it needs to be. The characters are likeable. Many people vote for Vivi as their favourite Final Fantasy character. He looks a lot like Orko from Masters of the Universe. I have friends who name their son Zidane. The story has romance, of course. In fact, there's multiple romances in this game, and they are lovely. The battle system, people say it's a bit slow, but having 4 characters works, and I like how each character has unique abilities, such as Garnet, she's the healer, Vivi is a mage, Steiner is the tank. Legend of Dragoon is a JRPG that was developed by Sony themselves. It's developed a cult following and is regarded by many people as one of the best JRPGs of the 5th gen, even though it didn't sell well. Aesthetically, it looks a lot like Final Fantasy IX, but has a much darker tone. I mean, as far as the buildings and towns go. The story for the game is set over 10,000 years after a devastating war. And as you can see by the way the world looks, it has a primeval look to it. Because corruption and instability within the world is holding the world's people back. The story explains there was some technologically advanced civilizations in the world at one point, around 10,000 years before the devastating war. I won't give away too much about the story, but there is races in the game who are fighting over control of the world. The story isn't all dark. It actually has a love story. It has a backstory to it. And feeling. The battle system is turn-based, but it has what's called additions, which are like quick-time events, where if you input the right button presses at the right time, you can do extra damage. And certain characters can transform into what are referred to as dragoons, which they have the spirit of a dragon, and they can become very powerful, which can change the tide in battle. The game is a very immersive experience. You just want to keep playing it from start to end. The story really pulls you in, and the way the world looks and its story is intriguing. Xenogears is one interesting game. I wouldn't know where to start as far as giving a synopsis of the story. Basically, the protagonist is another person who has amnesia. He's living in a small village, just a normal guy who works as a painter. But his village gets attacked and he realizes he has good combat skills and he's a skilled mech pilot. The backstory has thousands of years worth of history. The story also uses a lot of psychology, such as self-discovery and dealing with trauma. Religion comes into the story, as the main religion in the game is influenced by real-world religions, which made this game controversial when it was released. It also deals with corruption within religion and how much control should religion have, breakaway religious sects, and all of this ties into the backstory. And as you can see, it's a very sci-fi story. The world has a nice Arabian influence. The game does have a mature love story with adult scenes, if you get my drift. As for the combat, it's turn-based, and at times you'll use your party members with or without mech suits. I like how when you're in control of mech suits, you can stomp on weaker enemies and defeat them quickly. But there will be battles where it's mech suit against other mech suits. It's a very captivating story and one you'll think about afterwards. Like I said, the game is influenced by Freudian psychology. When you watch the story, you have to think hard what is really happening and look for subtle clues. As far as the character story goes and their personal psyches. But the sci-fi elements in the story are great on their own, and there's great plot twists. This is another story you'll want to keep playing, and because you want to know what happens next and you want to play right until the end. You can see my love for Final Fantasy VIII and Final Fantasy VII. Some of you might be thinking, what? Final Fantasy VIII is your favourite PlayStation 1 game? Well, here's my reason. The game is so beautifully and artistically presented. The world looks elegant. The narration is poetic, and it has a love story which some people don't like, but I like. I think Squall and Rinoa are a lovely couple. Rinoa gives a warm feeling, and I like scenes where Squall is carrying her. It's just very heartwarming. I'm going to give away some story spoilers because people who are watching this video have probably already played Final Fantasy VIII. The game does focus a fair bit on the love story, but the story is creative in that the main party are actually mercenaries who study at an academy known as Balamb Garden. A nation known as Galbadia is being aggressive to other smaller nations, and even though Balamb is neutral, when it sees the other smaller nations being attacked, Balamb sends your party as mercenaries to try to assassinate the sorceress who is behind a lot of the aggression. Story is thrilling, such as when Galbadia launches a missile attack at Balam Garden, the university where the students study, and Balam Garden transforms into a mobile city. I thought that was a very spectacular scene. As for the battle system, some people don't like the junction system, but now I can appreciate it. Basically, you got to draw magic from enemies or draw points and install them on a guardian force, which is basically a summon, to increase stats. The short explanation is, if you know where to draw the powerful magic, you can make your characters overpowered and godly very quickly. If you don't know where to draw the powerful magic, your party can be underpowered. Final Fantasy VIII was released at a time before most people had the internet, so I can understand people were unhappy with not knowing where to draw the powerful magic. But if you know where to draw the magic, like I said, you can make your characters very powerful quickly, and it's a much faster way to building a stronger party than having to level grind. In fact, in this game, level grinding is useless because enemies level up with you. Making your characters stronger is a matter of drawing the right magic and inputting it in the specific stats of your guardian forces. But the junction system does add a good amount of flexibility. Now, going back to the elegance the game has, one of my favourite scenes is when a beautiful woman is playing delicate piano music. It's very soothing, and at the same time, Squall is having another dream where he remembers being someone else. Very soothing and gentle scene. I'll let you watch a bit more of what happens. Beautiful storytelling, very delicate. Other things I like about this game is that towns allow you to enter most of the buildings, and the buildings' interior have a lot of details, something later Final Fantasy games don't have, even despite having better graphics and being open world. And I also like nice little features such as how Dealing City has a bus system. You can ride the buses around the city if you want. Anyways, these are the reasons why Final Fantasy VIII is my favourite PlayStation 1 game. You knew Final Fantasy VII had to at least get an honourable mention. The game was revolutionary for storytelling and turns many people into a JRPG fan. Its cyberpunk setting felt fresh. I'll let you watch the rest of this footage. I don't play many racing games, but I really enjoy Gran Turismo 2. It has a lots of customization options, fine-tuned, realistic physics, and a lot of tracks from around the world.
Something's coming from the creator of Resident Evil, Dino Crisis. Dino Crisis, only from Capcom.
As you saw, the PlayStation was a system that had games for every type of gamer. The PlayStation was revolutionary because even though it wasn't the first system to use CD-ROM, it perfected it with the way it did full motion video and CGIs and great music. The PlayStation also had great 3D capabilities, and as for the PlayStation being a system for everyone, before the PlayStation was released, video games were seen as something for nerds and children, but the PlayStation turned even the cool people, the hip people, into gamers. I'll wrap up this video. Take care.